You know that feeling when someone asks you what you want and your mouth just kind of drops open and nothing comes out? Or something comes out, but it feels kind of hollow, like you're reading off a list belongs to someone else. Yeah, that feeling. I think a lot of us in this season know it really well. And I was sitting there recently when I heard about a conversation with a Hindu priest. Someone asked him, what was the essence of Hinduism? And he said it comes down to one question. What do you really want? Easy question, right? Except he said something that really got me. He said, anyone can answer it, but giving a good answer, that's really knowing what you want at that root level, that's where most people stop short. So that's what this episode is about, because I think you're closer to the answer than you realize. Welcome to Create Your Best Empty Nest. This is episode 26, how to know what you really want. Okay, can I say something out loud? You want clarity. You want to wake up with a reason and being excited. You want to stop feeling like you're in the middle of a room wondering which door to walk through in this transition in the empty nest. And everyone around you keeps saying, this is your time. What are you going to do with your freedom? And you're nodding along thinking, okay, but what does that actually mean for me? Does this sound familiar? I hope so. Let's get into this. That's where we're going today. Here's what I want you to walk away with. It's a simple tool that cuts right through all the noise and gets you to the real answer underneath the question, what do you really want? Because that's where your next chapter actually lives, underneath the quick answer. And here's what we're covering today. Why a good answer is actually harder than it sounds. What King Solomon in the Bible knew about this that most of us forget. A tool that Mel Robbins taught me that I use over and over again. And then I'm going to walk you through the whole thing live so you can do it right here, right now, while you're listening. So grab something to write with if you can. You're going to want it. Okay. A good answer is harder than it looks. So anyone can answer the question, what do you really want? But giving a good answer, that's where the real work comes. So going back to the priest for a second, the Hindu priest, he wasn't being harsh when he said it's hard to give a good answer. He was being honest because most of us haven't really practiced a good answer. We've spent 20 plus years getting really, really good at answering. What do the kids need? We can answer that in our sleep, right? But what do you want? That muscle is a little rusty. And that's what we're trying to wake up today. So here's why it matters so much right now. You'll spend your life chasing things that look right on the outside and feel empty on the inside. You'll stay busy. You'll fill your calendar, but something will still feel off. Sound familiar? If you think about Alice in Wonderland, when she got to that fork in the road and they said, which way do I go? And they said, what do you want? And she said, I don't know. And then it doesn't really matter which way she goes. So if you're in that room and you don't really know what you want, it doesn't matter which way you go. But if you want something specific, if you want to be excited and intentionally create your next chapter, then the answer to that question, what do you really want, matters. Okay, now let me tell you someone who gave a really good answer. His name was Solomon in the Bible, in the Old Testament. In 1 Kings 3, God appears to Solomon in a dream. And essentially, God says to him, ask me for anything. What do you want? What do you really want? And Solomon, who was brand new to being king, leading people so great they couldn't even be numbered, he could have asked for anything: money, power, a long life, revenge on his enemies. But instead, he asked for an understanding heart. It says it over and over again in verses 8 through 12. He wants an understanding heart. He asked for the wisdom to lead well and to know the difference between good and evil. And God said that was a good answer because Solomon didn't ask for the thing on the surface. He asked for the thing underneath. He knew what he really wanted, at the root level. And that's exactly what we're going after today. So this is before the point. I want to be happy. I just want things to feel better. That's a surface answer of what do you really want. To after, a quick answer is just the starting line. The real answer is underneath it. So your practical take-home tip is right now, I want you to think of one thing you want. Just write it down and say it out loud. Don't judge it. Don't overthink it. We're coming back to that in a few minutes. Okay, next point. Clarity is a skill you build, not a sign you wait for. You're not waiting for a lightning bolt. Clarity is something that you create. I've heard Mel Robbins talk about this, and she says it in a way that really landed for me. Clarity is a skill, not a lightning bolt. You don't just wake up and suddenly know. You build it by asking better questions. And I see this in women in this season of the empty nest all the time. You're waiting for the right moment, waiting for the last kid to graduate, until the house feels less quiet, until life settles down a little bit. And then it does settle down. And the answer still doesn't magically appear because clarity doesn't come from conditions, from circumstances outside of you. It comes from questions. Here's something else that Mel said that I want you to really hear. When you finally uncover the real why behind what you want, it's almost never about that thing itself. It's about a feeling, a promise you made to yourself, something your younger self needed. It's always deeper than the first surface answer. And here's the other part. Saying it out loud, what you want and why, it creates something. It creates conviction. And conviction is what gives you the courage to actually start moving, to book that call, to make that first step. You don't need everything figured out. In fact, the how sometimes isn't even out there yet. You just have to start moving. You need the real answer and the guts to take one step towards it. Okay, before this point, I'll figure it out once things calm down. And after this point is I can start building clarity right now, today, with questions I'm willing to ask. So here's your practical take-home tip. This week, before you pick up your phone in the morning, ask yourself one question. What do I really want today? Not what's on the list, not what needs to happen. What do you really want? Do it every morning for 7 days and watch that start to surface. Okay, next point, the tool. So ask what you want, then ask why 4 more times. This tool will get you to the real answer faster than anything else I know, asking these right questions. This comes from Mel Robbins, and the idea is simple. You state what you want, and then you ask yourself why 4 more times. Each time you go a little deeper and a little deeper. By the 5th answer, you're at the real thing, the root. Let me walk you through my own example so you can see exactly how this works. Right now, my husband and I are in the middle of selling our condo. It's a 2-bedroom condo, and it's not big enough for our family. And we've been thinking about what we want to do next. We're empty nesters, so I've been thinking about how I want somewhere where the whole family can gather, a cabin or a condo somewhere. So I asked myself the question, what do you really want? And I want a condo or a cabin where the whole family can gather together. Why? We have a place to gather. Why does that matter? So we can build strong bonds and stay close, even now that everyone's scattered. And why? Why is that important to me? Because my family is one of the most important things in my life. And why? One more time, 4 times. At the very root of it, because what I really want, more than a cabin or a condo, more than any piece of real estate, is deep, lasting relationships with the people that I love. And that doesn't necessarily come with a place. So here's what this showed me, this exercise. I don't have to wait for a cabin or a condo to start building that. I can start creating traditions right now. I can plan intentional time with my family that build relationships right now. That feeling I was chasing, the sense of being gathered together, a belonging to each other, I can start creating that today with what I already have, with intentional phone calls and texts and creating that. The cabin or a condo would be lovely, but it's not the point. The relationships are the point. So before this point, I want X, and X is a thing. After this point, what I actually want is a feeling, and I can start feeling that right now. Okay, now we're going to try this together. I want you to walk through this exercise yourself. But before we do, let me show you an example. Let me show you exactly how this lands in real life so you know what we're going to do here. Okay, say there's a woman, I'm sure most of you can relate to this, and she says, I want to lose weight. That's what she really wants right now. Okay, I want to lose weight. So let's ask her why. Why? So I can feel more confident. Why do you want to feel confident? So I could show up as my real self instead of hiding. Why do you want to stop hiding? Because I want to feel like I'm worth showing up for. Why? And at that root, I want to love myself. I want to feel like I matter right now. Did you catch what happened there? She started with the weight loss, something she thought was about her body, and it ended up at self-love. That's the real thing. That's what she's actually after. And here's what that means. She doesn't have to earn that feeling. She doesn't have to lose the weight first to feel the thing that she's actually chasing. She can start doing that work today, deciding that she matters right now, at this exact size, in this exact season. That's where the real change begins. She doesn't have to wait. And so neither do you. Okay, now it's your turn. I'm going to walk you through this with you right now. If you're driving, just think through it. If you can pull over or you're somewhere you can write, even better. Okay, here we go. Think of something that you really want. It can be something big or small. Your relationships, your health, your time, your purpose, your next chapter. Whatever comes up first, just say it out loud or write it down. I'll give you a second. Okay, got it? Good. Now, ask yourself, why do I want that? What's the reason underneath it? Okay, now take that answer and ask again. But why do I really want that? Be thoughtful here. What's the real answer? Why does that matter to me? And one final time, at the very deepest level, why is this important to me? Now, look at what you wrote or think about what came up for you. That last answer, that's the real one. That's what you actually want, not the thing on the surface. The good answer is the feeling that's underneath it. And here's the question I want you to ask yourself right now. Can you start creating that feeling today? Not after the cabin is purchased, not after the weight comes off, not after the kids are settled and life looks the way you think it should look. Right now. In the life you already have, can you find one small way this week to bring more of that into your days? Before this point, once I have this thing, I'll feel the way I want. After this point, I can start creating that feeling I'm really after right now in the small moments I already have intentionally. So here's your practical take-home tip. Write down that root answer that you just got. Then write down one small thing you can do this week that feeds it. One tradition, one phone call, one morning that looks a little different. That's the starting place. Start there. Okay, a good answer to what I really want is harder than a quick answer, and that's worth the work. Solomon knew this. He didn't ask for that thing on top. He asked for what he really needed underneath. Clarity isn't something that lands on you one day, just lands on you. It's something you build by asking better questions. The 5 why tool is how you get there. Ask what you want, then ask why 4 more times until you really hit the answer. And once you find it, you don't have to wait for perfect conditions. In fact, don't wait for perfect conditions. You can start creating that feeling that you want right now in the moments you already have. And here's something I want you to sit with. A lot of people want to make real change. A lot of people want to do what they really want, but only 1% of people actually do it. Only 1%. And I think about that a lot because the difference isn't ability. It isn't time. It isn't really even circumstances. It's whether or not you stopped long enough to ask the real question and then had the courage to actually go after the answer. I want you to be in that 1%. I want you to be a woman who's engaged and excited about her life, who builds with vision and purpose, with a fire in her belly, who wakes up knowing what she's building and why it matters. And here's the thing, that doesn't require you to be someone different. It requires you to be more of who you already are. My affirmation for this year is, I am becoming the merriest Marianne. I love that. And I'm trying to apply it in my life. The idea is to live your life in a way that's inspiring for you and everyone around you to step into your favorite version of yourself and actually live there. That's what this work is all about. That's what today was all about. Not just answering the question, becoming the woman who knows the answer and acts upon it. So if you want to know what's next, if you're in this season and you're asking yourself, who am I even without these kids? The kids are leaving. Who am I now? Or what do I actually want my life to look like? I have a free quiz that is the perfect first step. It's called Who Am I After the Kids Leave? And it's going to help you get that real clarity on exactly where you are right now and what you need most in this season. It's free. It takes a few minutes. And honestly, it might be the most honest thing you've done for yourself all week. Go take it at marianneiverson.com/quiz. That's Marianne with an I and an E on the end, iverson.com/quiz. I'll put the link in the show notes so you can find it easily. So thanks so much for being here today. Seriously, you showed up, you listened, and you did that exercise with me. You did something most people never do. Most people keep moving too fast to stop to answer the real question. You didn't. So go back to what you found today. Write it somewhere you'll see it, because that root answer, that's the thing worth building towards. That's your next chapter calling. Thanks for being here today. I'll see you next week. If this felt familiar, you're not alone. I created a short quiz, Who Am I After the Kids Leave? It helps you name what actually is going on for you in this season and what you might need next. You'll find the link in the description. And if you want more conversations like this, you could subscribe. I'm here every week.